I thought I would do another glass cast on my way home today. This time, it's a little bit colder than it was last time. A lot of noise from the buses, so I don't know whether you're going to get this or not. And once again, I'm going to be passing people who may be looking at me like I'm crazy. It was interesting. I had a conversation with Porter and Chad earlier, and one of the things Chad said was, do people just stare at you when you're walking around with these things on? And, for the most part, most people don't even notice, so it's not that big of a deal. And when you're talking to yourself nowadays, people actually, they just assume you're talking on the phone, so no big deal. They just don't see the earpiece or something else along those lines. So it's not all that strange. In fact, Adam Bello, my co-author, gave me a set of gloves as a gift that you can use. So it's got a Bluetooth headset built into it. You actually connect it by touching your wrist and just make your fingers like this, so you actually, here's what you stick your thumb in your ear and you talk into your pinky and hold it up. And I'll be honest, I've used that. I'm not sure. I actually used it at an ice rink, and I thought that people would have looked at me like I was crazy there. Not really. No one even gave a hoot. So point being, even if you're walking around talking to yourself in today's society, that's really kind of considered almost the norm. Now, I wouldn't do this through like a big crowd or something like that. Or at a conference, I wouldn't just walk through the halls talking to myself. It's the same thing as with any phone conversation, you know what I mean? You be respectful, in a sense. I mean, if you're going to talk on the phone, you talk quietly. So, but given the fact that I know this stretch of street and that I'm not going to encounter too many people, I don't really mind too much. Yeesh, I'm totally off topic, and right now I don't even remember what the topic was. It was just about wearables in general. I read an interesting article in Wired Magazine about the impact of wearables, and I'm kind of torn about All right, so you've got kind of two classes of device. You've got things like the iPad, or you've got the iPhone, or you've got the Google Glass, which is going to try to do a lot of things. It's going to have apps on it that do a lot of different functions and so on. And then you've got the small, little, dedicated device that isn't going to try and be all end all. You got things like the Fitbit, you know what I mean? Where it just records, what does it record? All it does is record just your steps, maybe whether you slept well or not, you might be able to record what you eat and so on, but that's all it does. And I kind of think of it as the difference between like a Microsoft Office suite versus a Google Docs or a Tumblr or you know what I mean? One of those things that only does one thing but does it really well. Or like a Wordle, per se. You know what I mean? That's all it does. It does it really well. You don't need anything more, so it's great. So what I keep going back and forth on, you've got Google Glass, which in theory could do just about everything. It could have a pedometer in it. The GPS connection could keep track of all of my steps. I could use the camera to snap all of my foods and so on, and do everything through apps. Or is there really a benefit to having multiple wearable devices? A watch that does this for communication, that takes photos of this on. You've also got an eyepiece that does this. You've got this that does this. You've got a ring that unlocks your door. Almost like, for those of you that were into Dungeons and Dragons, you've got your inventory, you've got your slot for your wrist, you've got your slot for your ring, and each one of those does a different function in a sense. And I'm really not sure which direction it's going to go. Do you want an all-in-one sort of device? Or would you rather have micro devices that attempt to do, singular functions, but, do them nicely and do them well? And then you kind of mix and match to create your own set. I'll be honest, as much as I love the Google Glass, I think I don't think the price point is prohibitive. I mean, yeah, yes, it is right now for what you get. Eventually, you know, listen, when the iPad first came out, the idea of spending $700 or $800 on an iPad seemed crazy. And so some people it still is, and I get that. But the point is there's a market for it. You know, it remains to be seen what the market is going to be for Google Glass, what the right price point is. So I'm not going to even get into that. What I'm just trying to figure out is, will people be happier with the expensive all-in-one sort of device, or would they rather have 10 $100 devices that each do a fraction of it, but then they can kind of mix and match? You know what I mean? To get that perfect set. Sportier people may have more athletic sort of, you know, pieces. If you're an Android user, you might go with this set. If you're an iPhone user, you might go with a different set, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Tailoring it to your specific needs. If you're a musician, you're going to have different needs than somebody else, and you want that all funneled through one device that will do most of it, or will it be the dedicated devices that are going to wind up being the most pertinent to you? You know what I mean? A Fitbit per se that also, you know, that instead of measuring steps, it, you know, it checks your pitch and has a metronome in it and so on, but the form factor is that of a wristband. So you don't have to have it within your phone. You don't have to have it within the Google Glass. You just have a fashionable little bracelet or ring that does those functions as well. I don't know. I think we're kind of, you know, coming up on a split with this stuff, where we're going to kind of start to see a mix. And I'll be honest, I don't know which one's going to wind up winning out. My instinct is actually to say smaller and cheaper and more dedicated for the masses. But I don't know. It's interesting and remains to be seen. So that is it for this Glasscast. Oh, I just realized maybe I shouldn't show my license plate. I don't know why anyone would care. Anyway, thanks for joining me on my walk back to the car. And take care. Have a wonderful night. And hopefully tomorrow it will be a little bit warmer here in Chicago. Auf Wiedersehen, sayonara, shalom, adios, and goodbye.